The game never stops, and neither do we. Welcome to the SDH Network. We're always around the corner from everywhere, and it's time now for another edition of the Morning Espresso. Brought to you by Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. We got a packed one today. MLS has outlined what the 2026 calendar will look like around the World Cup. Conference semifinals this weekend. 4 massive matchups. The NWSL championship weekend is bringing major storylines on and off the field. We'll always wrap with the refill, the biggest global headlines you need to know. Let's jump right in. We're going to start with the MLS calendar for 2026. The league's laid out its blueprint for next year. Nothing's too shocking, but it gives us a big picture of how the league is going to operate in the World Cup year. Season's going to kick off on February 21st. Everything's going to pause after May 24th. They will take a 7-week break during the World Cup. The mandatory release date by FIFA for World Cup players is May 25th, so it makes sense to stop on the 24th. The tournament begins on June 11th. The final of the World Cup is set for July 19th at MetLife Stadium. MLS will take this length of a break almost exactly in the same spot going forward in 2027 and beyond, when the league fully moves to its new fall start and spring finish. So this year is, in a way, kind of a dry run for that. Play will restart the weekend of the World Cup final, July 16th and 17th, right after the semifinal here in Atlanta, and between that and the final. There's also a full slate of games on July 22nd, the Wednesday after the final. That's one of 7 Wednesday match days in MLS this year. The regular season will run through November 7th, about 3 weeks later than this past season. The playoffs will begin after the November FIFA window. So no FIFA window breaks once the postseason starts. That, again, is how things will go once MLS moves to its new calendar for 2027-2028. Scheduled breaks for 2026 include the March FIFA window. That will be taken in total, plus 1 weekend of the 2 fall windows in September, October, where it's going to be a little bit different kind of break there. Bottom line, I mean, MLS has to deal with this because of the World Cup in 2026, but also it's a way to start easing towards a new rhythm that we'll see going forward with the shift in the calendar. Now that the schedule part is talked about, let's move to the conference semifinals. I think these are some great games that are going to decide the conference finalists. We'll start Cincinnati and Miami, 2 versus 3 in the East. Star power on star power. Lionel Messi's been absurd. He's got 10 goals and 8 assists in his last 6 games. Evander for Cincinnati can alter matches in the same way that Messi can. Maybe not quite to the same degree, but he's got that ability as well. Cincinnati's shape and ideas under Pat Noonan, it lives and dies by the front 3 staying disciplined. The wingbacks, they've got to push up. You've got to get good distribution out of the midfield, and Evander has to be the one to connect the lines. When it works, it's devastating. When it doesn't, it can get pulled apart a little bit, and they have to scramble, but they do that pretty well as well. Miami, they've become more stable as the season has gone on. Rocco Rios Novo took over in goal. That has helped. Messi has moved into a more traditional attacking midfield role, a little bit more of a true 10 with Suarez and Tadeo Ashende, although a lot of times Messi ends up higher at times in the way that things shape out. The midfield triangle with Busquets and DePaul behind Messi has given Miami a good spine, and DePaul has started to settle in next to Busquets and kind of found his rhythm. Look, the whole team for Miami is built to give Messi the platform to change games, and it's working. And they've also allowed under 1.0 expected goals in their last 6 games. That's impressive for a team that hasn't been great defensively. Javier Mascherano has not gotten enough credit for what he's done with this team tactically. Pat Noonan gets a lot of credit for what he does tactically with Cincinnati. So I think this is an interesting battle. And yes, I would expect to see Luis Suarez start for Miami in this one, even though he missed the last game against Nashville. The other game in the East is Philadelphia, the top seed, against New York City. New York City dealing with injuries. Keaton Park's out. Andres Perea out. Aiden O'Neal suspended. Alonso Martinez tore his ACL on international duty. It's going to be a struggle for them. I mean, they're probably going to have to sit back and defend deep and give Philly the ball and see what Philly can do with it, which has not historically been easy for them. Can NYC ride that to an upset? I'm not putting anything past them. They shouldn't, but we'll get a good test of how Philadelphia handle things when they have to play, because I think New York City is going to make them play in this one. Vancouver and LAFC highlights the Western Conference semifinals. I think it's the best match of the four. Thomas Muller has made Vancouver even better, and they were already great in the first half of the season. Son Heung-min has made LAFC even better and has made them, in my opinion, the best team in MLS. Sonny and Boanga are just brutal when they're able to get out on the run. Vancouver, when they switch the point of attack, they're brutal. Two of the best teams in the league right here. I hate that it's the quarterfinal, essentially. I would love to see something like this one round later. But this could be one of the best MLS playoff games that we've seen in a long time. The other Western Conference semifinal is San Diego, the top seed, hosting Minnesota. I think San Diego will take care of business here. Minnesota don't risk a whole lot. They play in a low block. They absorb pressure. They're all about the set pieces. They're all about getting out on the break. It has worked. It's not really fun, but it has worked. San Diego will have to deal without Chucky Lozano, who is out injured again. Anders Dreyer has been spectacular. I think San Diego will take care of business. My predictions would be San Diego, LAFC, Philadelphia, and Miami. I think those are your winners in the MLS quarterfinals. We'll compare notes when we get back to Monday. Let's move to the NWSL. It's championship weekend. Storylines on the field and off the field are both very strong. Jessica Berman, the commissioner, has signed a multi-year extension. Her leadership since 2022 has helped stabilize the league. It's been very critical for this league to have Berman, I think, stay in the position she's in, which has taken a league that I think overcame COVID and the investigations and ownership changes and structural changes. They had overcome that pretty well, but I think Berman has taken them to another level. She emphasized that the league operates as an independent collective, a strength that sets them apart. She also said that while there are teams in other leagues that can compete with teams in the NWSL, as a whole, there's not another league that can. And I would agree with that. Now, in her chat with the media at Championship Week, she talked about how now the NWSL needs to reevaluate its schedule structure. MLS making the change to the fall start, spring finish maybe puts a little bit of pressure on the NWSL because 12 of 16 NWSL teams share stadiums with MLS clubs. MLS holding playoff dates in May could complicate early season planning for NWSL. I think the move is not quite as obvious in the NWSL as it is in MLS because of the international transfer window business not being the same in the NWSL as it is in MLS. I do think that will change. I do think it's something the league needs to be more involved in and shift their focus to. So you get back to the weather concerns, and do you want to play through the summer where you've had to postpone games and delay starts because of temperatures being too high? Do you want to play through that, or do you want to deal with cold weather? I don't know the best answer, and we've talked about this when it comes to the MLS side in terms of the weather. It's extreme heat is as bad as cold. And I think what you're going to get in these conditions that you're going to play in extreme heat, I think, is worse than being colder, because you're not going to play in extreme cold, because even if you go fall to spring, you're going to take a winter break. I think eventually the NWSL will shift to that calendar. I think it will just make sense to be in more alignment, and with the stadiums and all that, I just think it'll make more sense. When they do it is going to be the question. I think there's other things that the league has to think about and work on. And one is going to be the salary cap and how much teams can spend. And do you look at a designated player kind of a model? Because right now would be the time. MLS brought in the designated player rule in real rules rather than letting teams spend off book for certain players, which they did before. And NWSL could do here, but now it's a little bit harder to do just because there's going to be more questions about it. And you have a structure for it like you see in MLS. Are you going to make the Trinity Rodman rule? Because a lot of times the designated player rule in the early days in MLS was called the Beckham rule. Is this going to be the Trinity Rodman rule? Because you need to put up a fight to keep her. Now, this is different, and this is a complicated one, because Trinity Rodman very well could be the most recognizable active American women's player. She's at the end of her contract next month. Women's Super League clubs are interested. The headline yesterday was USL Super League side DC Power have reportedly made a massive uncapped offer that cannot be matched by the NWSL. I think that is a blessing for the NWSL, because I think that maybe forces their hand a little bit. Because, yes, according to certifications, the USL Super League is at the same level, Division I, as the NWSL. But if you watch the games, it's not the same level. The NWSL is a better league. But when the headlines are, hey, this team is offering money that the NWSL cannot compete with, in my opinion, that forces you to reevaluate your business. And yes, create a designated player type of rule. It's worked for MLS. It has. I would be willing to say that MLS teams maybe should add a fourth. How do you do this for NWSL? Do you phase it in kind of how MLS did, where every team gets one or every team gets two to start, or you can buy a third, like however you want to do it. Sit down, figure it out with your ownership. I would assume that Arthur Blank would be one who would want to see the ability to spend and put the best product on the field as possible. Now's the time to do it. This situation will allow you to do it. Now, here's the flip side. Because Trinity Rodman is an amazing player, incredibly recognizable, a superstar. She's also had injury concerns. Now, a lot of leagues and teams, it seems like, are not worried about that. I would be a little concerned about what offer is put there because of her injury concerns. It's a valid question, but the situation as a whole, the NWSL should not be in a spot where they are hamstrung by their own rules in the ability to re-sign Trinity Rodman. This gives you an opportunity to change it and gives you a very important reason to. Then it's down to the individual clubs to make the decision. Do you spend this kind of money on Trinity Rodman? And for some clubs, you would take the risk. And for some, you might say, you know what? No, but I'm going to go get somebody else that gives me similar things. I'm going to go get somebody like Aitana Bonmati. I'm going to go bring Sam Kerr back to the league. I'm going to go get players like that. That could get interesting. So I hope this is an inflection point for the NWSL. I really do. The championship match is tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. You can watch on CBS. Trinity Rodman's team, Washington Spirit, back in the final. Gotham, the 8th seed, riding the underdog wave. Don't tell Jaden Shaw that. She'll yell at you. She's been amazing in the playoffs. It's a compelling match. Big storylines. You've got the David versus Goliath kind of idea. Going to be a really good game tomorrow night. You can listen to the game on SiriusXM FC with our friend Jessica Charman on the call. And you can catch up with Jess and Madison Cruz on an Atlanta Soccer Tonight special over on Off the Woodwork from 92.9 The Game and Odyssey. Full preview of the match, every storyline you need to know with Washington and Gotham playing tomorrow night. Go check that out on the Off the Woodwork podcast, wherever you get your podcast, or on the Odyssey app. All right, let's bounce around the global game. UEFA Women's Champions League, Chelsea and Barcelona drew 1-1 at Stamford Bridge yesterday. Alyssa Thompson and Naomi Girma went the full 90. Caterina Macario had a goal ruled out by VAR for Chelsea. Serie A, Inter versus Milan. That is the headline fixture of the weekend. Inter have looked sharp. Milan have as well. They're unbeaten in 11 across all competitions. Roma and Napoli stay lurking behind them. Premier League, they had a vote this morning. They will move to squad cost rules, capping spending at 85% of football revenue and net transfer balance. Anchoring, which was the proposed hard cap tied to bottom club revenue, that was rejected. Arsenal, North London derby this weekend against Tottenham Hotspur. Gabriel's thigh injury may keep him out until January. Martinelli and Odegaard are also questionable. Arsenal holding on to the top spot in the Premier League, but the squad depth is getting tested for Mikel Arteta. Celtic, they still don't have a permanent manager. They had their annual general meeting with supporters and board members, and it got ugly. Had to be delayed and then eventually stopped because of giant red cards being flashed by the supporters to the board members and chanting, and board members got upset, and whole thing got stopped. And they still have not hired Wilfried Nancy yet, and there's debates on whether they have talked to the Columbus Crew about hiring him or not. It's a very strange situation for Celtic. Argentina, they invented a new trophy in midseason, kind of like the Supporters Shield, MLS. Rosario Central, they are now league champions because they finished atop the annual standings. The Apertura and Clausura combined, Rosario Central had the best combined regular seasons. So they hopped in a van and went to the headquarters and picked up a trophy and took pictures. Argentina stays Argentina. Their format next year for their league calendar is going to be very similar to how it is now, with Apertura in the first half of the year, Clausura in the second. Their playoffs start this weekend. I like their playoff format. I like that they have that. I'm fine with the Apertura Clausura kind of setup. They have created kind of a Super Cup idea as well, which is a little complicated, but again, welcome to Argentina. We'll get into that when we get into that down the road. Here's your refill headlines from around the world. Marcelo Bielsa staying with Uruguay. He had a press conference last night that went very, very long, and he will stay on. It was kind of assumed that he might be stepping down, but even after the 5-1 loss to the U.S., he has rejected rumors of unrest with players, and he says he's sticking it out. Okay. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. We'll find out next summer, I guess. Cole Palmer, he was trying to come back from injury, and now he has fractured a toe in an at-home accident. He's going to miss the next few matches. Smacked the little toe. Not good. That hurts, too. Paul Pogba, he's ready for a return. He's been named to Monaco's squad. Could be his first match in over 2 years after being suspended for doping. Lamine Yamal, he is cleared to play for Barcelona. The Blaugrana return to the Spotify Camp Nou after renovations. Over 45,000 people expected in the reduced capacity. Marcus Rashford, though, he's battling flu-like symptoms, and he is doubtful for the match. Sergio Ramos, contract talks at Monterrey. They have open discussions with Ramos to extend his deal beyond this season. USL Championship final also this weekend. They will meet tomorrow. FC Tulsa hosting Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Noon kickoff on CBS. Both clubs' first appearance in the final. And in Germany, a lower division club has lost its pitch due to a robot mower. I guess it got wet and got stuck, so a malfunctioning lawn robot tore up a local pitch in Germany. So the club now don't have a playable surface until spring. Be careful about those robot lawnmowers because they could ruin your season. That's your Morning Espresso for today. Make sure you're following at Soccer Down here on all major platforms for updates throughout the weekend. Enjoy a massive slate of Major League Soccer playoff action, NWSL championship action, and global action from all corners. Argentine playoffs, Milan derby, North London derby, all the games. We'll be back on Monday to break all of it down. Have a great weekend, everybody.